welcome to the Democratic National Convention 2016 Philadelphia here on FoxNews.com live streaming. And a very special guest today from the Fox Business Network, Kennedy.
Hello. Hi, Juan.
The host of Kennedy. And Kennedy, of course, has a special role because this is the end of two conventions, Republican convention, Democratic convention. And guess what? In my opinion, all these conventions, all the advertising that's to come is aimed at getting Kennedy to vote for one candidate or another, Clinton or Trump. Why do I say that? Kennedy is an educated white woman. Do you belong to the Republicans or the Democrats? No.
Neither. I'm an unaffiliated voter.
You are the target audience. So here we have, this is our special focus group on FoxNews.com. We have captured the voter that all candidates are seeking in November.
Yeah.
So, Kennedy, after two conventions, what are you thinking?
I think the Democrats have put on a showier convention. It's definitely much more fun to watch. They have a cohesive message, but it's been vague, and I don't think they've done a great job of selling Hillary Clinton. And, you know, I always know if it's worked, if I'm curious about someone. And I'm walking away from this convention, like, in 2012, you walked away from both going, wow, Romney's really amazing. Then you walk away from Charlotte going, man, Obama's really amazing. But here I don't get that sense.
Okay, and what about the Republican convention in Cleveland?
It was really disjointed and boring at first. I felt that that first night was so clunky, especially Donald Trump had promised a flashier, showier convention than we had seen before, and I had high expectations. Because here's a person who has worked with Mark Burnett, whom I think is a fantastic TV producer on The Apprentice, and Burnett created one of my favorite shows, Survivor, and he's married to Roma Downey Jr. from Touched by an Angel, and Burnett didn't produce it, but I was hoping that some of that magic would have rubbed off on Trump, and it really didn't.
No. And also, they had big trouble, but from my perspective, I thought it was a terrible convention because not only did Ted Cruz say he wouldn't endorse them.
Which I like that. I mean, I like a little
you
chaos.
like that?
Yeah.
Okay, and then you had
I'm not a Cruz person, but I like that.
The defiance and the
anytime
booing.
someone goes rogue, it's pretty great.
Okay, and then you had the plagiarism charge against Mrs. Trump.
Yeah.
What did you think?
She's not a writer.
She's not a writer.
I don't think you can charge people with plagiarism if they're not writers.
I think she said she wrote it.
She did, but then it was like, yeah, there was really a team of people, and even let's say she wrote it, right?
Yeah.
When I went to UCLA, I graduated in 2005. At that time already, we had turnitin.com. So if you wrote a paper, before you turn it in to your TA and your professor, you had to submit it digitally, and if there was any plagiarism, you'd get an F and you can get kicked out of class, kicked out of school.
So somebody didn't do the basic
That's
work.
all you got to do. You can put any sort of speech or any piece of writing in to see if there's a match.
Okay, so here you heard me say I thought it was a terrible convention for Donald Trump, but he got a bounce out of it with the voters, largely, by the way, with independents.
Yeah.
Went up. So those are people like Kennedy.
Yeah.
So Kennedy, coming out of that convention, did you think, I'm more curious by your standard about Trump, or I'm less curious about Trump?
I don't think that my curiosity was satisfied. I do think he still has, like, Hillary Clinton has to stop reintroducing herself. Everyone knows who she is. And if you keep reintroducing a new side of yourself, none of the sides that you've already introduced seem authentic at all. I think Trump still has some personality perceptions that he can solidify with voters. And if independents were swayed, and obviously some of them were because he's gotten like a 7-point bump from, which is, you know, about 2.5 more points than Republicans traditionally get from their convention. It's because they talked a lot about national security and law enforcement and the economy. And, you know, they're telling people to be really worried, those who are really worried, which might make up a greater portion of the voting public than the Democrats would like, then that would be more appealing.
Well, what about you?
I am more interested in balancing the budget and cutting entitlement spending.
So you're not scared about crime on the street. I mean, they made it out like the state of crime is terrible.
Yeah.
The terrorists are coming. Did you like, oh my God, I got to worry about my children. I got to worry about my family. Did your stomach like tighten?
I always worry about my children, no matter what, no matter where we live or what we do. That's natural for any parent. I think, you know, self-preservation is a big issue, and I don't want to see either party get in the way of that.
Right.
And I've always felt that whoever has the guns has the power. And in a democracy where people are armed, they have the power. It's not the government, it's not the military, and that's really important. And that's one of the reasons why I think we need to fight to protect the Second Amendment.
Okay, so here we are now. It sounds to me like you're kind of like, well, you're not more curious about Hillary Clinton coming out of the Democratic convention.
Yeah, I don't know that there's anything that she could say at this point that would sway me.
Oh, wait a second. What about the love story that came from Bill Clinton about the girl he met in 1971?
Yeah. Let me tell you about love story. So I cry in movies. I'm such a sap.
Okay.
And I knew The Notebook was a really beautiful love story that made people cry. And so I had my husband describe it to me before I watched it, and I was crying as he was describing it, and he was like, "You are the biggest nerd." Because he was just telling me about the movie, so I will go there with anyone who's telling me a love story. I didn't feel anything as Bill Clinton was talking.
Really?
No. And, I didn't feel this genuine connection to their story.
Let me say something. I did feel something, so I'm wondering, do you have an antagonism towards the Clintons?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So maybe that colored it. Because I think part of
But still, I didn't have any... I knew I wasn't going to vote for Mitt Romney, but when they showed the videos, I thought they did a very good job of filling out their story. And it was kind of cool to see, Mitt and Ann Romney's love story. And whenever I hear about Ronald and Nancy Reagan,
right.
It always just kills me. It's really beautiful.
Huh. Now, Michelle Obama, I think, was speaking directly to Kennedy the other night. Most people think she gave a good speech. Do you think she gave a good speech?
I thought she gave a phenomenal speech.
Okay, and she was talking about raising 2 little girls at the White House.
Yeah.
I happen to know that Kennedy has 2 little girls,
That's right.
Great gymnasts, at home.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have a wonderful memory.
So that works. Michelle Obama's speech works.
Yeah, no, I have goosebumps as you're describing it when she talks about her kids playing in the yard and a house built by slaves, and now her husband is the president. I mean, that's heavy, and it's beautiful, and it shows how far we've come. It's really an incredible metaphor. Is everything solved? No, we've talked about this. There's still a lot of new racial division in this country for one reason or another, and, we have to honestly address that outside of these political spheres. But, she talks so passionately about her girls, and I feel like this is probably a person who's felt very confined by living in the White House for 8 years. And she sees that she's about to achieve this freedom when they leave. And I think, it was almost an evolution of her spirit. She's actualized.
Okay, but let's come back to the politics.
Which may sound goofy, but...
No. But I just want to come back to the politics. That she was saying there's no question for her. She's voting for Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
Now, Chelsea Clinton, Hillary Clinton's daughter,
Yeah.
is going to introduce her, and when she does, I'm wondering, does that help Kennedy lighten her attitude about Hillary Clinton?
I don't know. If it's not manufactured, I mean, if they can actually drum up some genuine emotion, people feel that. I mean, you feel genuine emotion. You know the difference when someone is trying to appear a certain way, and it felt like Bill Clinton was trying to give the appearance of a beautiful, sweet love story, which may have been embellished. And, I know Chelsea Clinton loves her mom, and I know they're close, and that's a good sign. But does it make up for the rest of it for me? No, we've got some problems.
Okay, and the Clinton people and the Democrats are saying, you know what? I think Bill Clinton said this. What you have seen so far of Hillary Clinton is a caricature, cartoon, created by the Republicans so they can beat her up two-dimensional.
Yeah.
They're trying to humanize her at this convention.
Yeah.
But it doesn't sound like it's working for Kennedy.
Okay, but here's the thing. That's all the Democrats are doing with Donald Trump. He's very characterizable. I mean, he is a walking cartoon character. He probably would like to think he's a walking superhero, but it's very easy to turn him into a caricature or cartoon. So when Bill Clinton said that, I was like, come on, man, that's exactly what you're doing with Donald Trump. That's so hypocritical. But if you're a good politician, if you're good at allowing people to feel your words and living an authentic life, then other people's perceptions of you aren't going to color who you really are. And I think that's the problem, is she can't, and we were talking with Lanny Davis about this afternoon on Outnumbered, there is a chasm there between what her friends know of her, and everyone who knows her well says that she's really funny, and she's a great person, a wonderful conversationalist, and what we think of her. This chasm was not created entirely by the Republicans. It was exacerbated by them, but for some reason she cannot close the gap.
Well,
that's on her.
I have two quick questions because we're running out of time.
Yeah.
The fact that it's the first woman nominated for presidency by a major party,
Yeah.
does it make your heartstrings strum?
No, I think that's really cool. I mean, I thought the same thing about President Obama when, I'll never forget, I was working in talk radio in Los Angeles, and at 8 o'clock West Coast time when the polls closed, and they came on TV and said, we can now announce President Obama will be the... And I got chills. I was like, there's something, you know, regardless of how you feel about that, there's something monumental about that where you all have to pause.
Okay.
And, you know, a couple of years ago, my oldest daughter was really obsessed with money, with cash. And she would lay all the bills on her bed, and she would count them and move them around, and she just had, you know, this thing with money. And she said, why are there no girls on this money? And I was like, because no woman has been president.
Oh.
And she was like, why? That's really stupid. And I'm like, maybe I don't know.
All right, so final question for Kennedy from
Yeah.
Fox Business. Have you made up your mind about who you're going to vote for, or are you going to wait a little bit?
No, I'm not waiting. I mean, I know who I'm voting for.
And that is?
I don't know if I'm supposed to talk about
Yeah,
it.
you
but-
are.
Now, who are you voting for?
I think I'm voting for Hillary Clinton.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I'll vote for Gary Johnson. I mean, no,
Gary
probably.
Johnson?
Yeah, probably.
Now you surprised me.
I've not
You
endorsed
know what?
Gary Johnson,
All
but
right. So you can watch Kennedy every weeknight on Fox Business, but we're going to have her back on FoxNews.com live streaming because we've got to talk about Gary Johnson. So is that a promise? Have we
that
got
I'm going to vote for Gary Johnson?
No, that you come back and
it's not a
talk
problem
with
I'm going
us.
to vote for Gary Johnson because if someone else comes up and they seem like a fantastic limited government constitutionalist candidate, I'll vote for them.
Well, but we got to talk about it again. I want you to come back and do this again.
Absolutely come
All right.
back, Juan Williams.
This is FoxNews.com live streaming from the Democratic National Convention in Philadelphia. Our guest today, Kennedy from Fox Business. Thanks for joining us.